Adrian Newey just unveiled a Formula One car that should not exist. It's too late, too risky, and too different. This design breaks every rule, and not everyone inside Aston Martin agrees with it. Today, we saw the AMR26 for the first time. But what no one told you is what's missing from the car, and why it could be the most dangerous gamble in Newey's entire career. Because behind the lights, the cameras, and the perfect smiles, there's panic, massive delays, critical failures, zero backup plan. And yet, Newey is calm. Why? Because there's something hidden inside this car. A radical idea no one else had the courage to build. And here's the part that shocked even the engineers at Red Bull. What Newey just did with Aston Martin might break the championship wide open. But only if it works. Stay with me, because in the next 5 minutes, you'll hear the part no other channel dares to say out loud. And once you know the truth, you'll never look at this car the same way again. Subscribe now. Because what comes next could change Formula One forever. It all started with a delay. Not a mistake. A decision. Aston Martin chose to wait. And by the time Newey joined in March, they were already 4 months behind. In Formula One, that's suicide. Because this isn't a normal season. This is 2026. The year everything changes. New engines. New chassis. New active aero. For the first time in history, power units and car concepts reset together. And if you get it wrong, you fall behind for the next 5 years. That's why the other teams played it safe. Ferrari stuck to what works. Mercedes refined their baseline. Even Red Bull, Newey's old kingdom, went evolutionary, not revolutionary. But Aston Martin? They went silent. While the others hit the track, Aston Martin stayed in the garage. No real mileage. No proper data. And when the car finally touched tarmac in Barcelona, it completed just 5 laps. 5. Before the electronics gave out. Before Stroll climbed out, furious. Before the paddock started whispering. Is this another McLaren Honda? Is Newey already regretting this move? But those people missed the point. Because what Aston Martin launched was not a finished product. It was a prototype, a foundation. Newey didn't need it to be fast. He needed it to survive. Just long enough to show the world one thing. That he's still willing to risk everything to win. And here's the detail no one expected. The suspension. Radical geometry. Unmatched stiffness. Built to stabilize airflow at high speeds, not now, but later. The AMR26 wasn't built for today. It was built for Bahrain. For Monaco. For the title fight. If it makes it that far. Because here's where things get dangerous. A new engine from Honda. A new in-house gearbox. A new chassis built under pressure. 3 massive changes. All introduced at once. That's not a design strategy. That's a tightrope walk, without a net. And it's already cost them. Stroll barely ran. Alonso was over 4 seconds off the pace. And the car missed almost 2 full days of shakedown testing. But Newey? He says that was expected. Because he's not chasing day one performance. He's chasing long-term dominance. He called the car a logical solution. But logic doesn't always win races. Especially when your rivals are already running at full speed. Still, there's one thing no one can deny. This car looks different. It feels different. And the deeper you look, the more secrets you find. But we're just getting started. Because the biggest mystery isn't the car. It's why Adrian Newey walked away from Red Bull to build this. Here's the part that no one wants to talk about. Why did Adrian Newey leave Red Bull? He had the fastest car, the best tools, the clearest path to another title. So why walk away? It was not money, not ego, not boredom. It was something deeper. Newey saw what was coming. The new regulations. The engine switch. The looming internal chaos at Red Bull after Dietrich's death. He saw it before anyone else did. And he made a decision, not to stay comfortable, but to start over. With Aston Martin. A team that hadn't won. Hadn't proven anything. But offered him one thing Red Bull couldn't. Control. Complete. Total. Uncompromised control. From wind tunnel to gearbox. From concept to execution. No committee. No Helmut Marko. No Christian Horner. Just Newey, a blank canvas, and a ticking clock. And that's what changed everything. Because this car, the AMR26, is the first Formula One machine in decades. Designed entirely around his vision. Not adapted. Not translated. Built from scratch. But there's a cost. And here's where things get risky. Newey joined too late. The wind tunnel came online too late. The car hit the track too late. 4 months behind, in a year where 4 days can end a season. And now, every second matters. The Barcelona shakedown? That was survival mode. But the real pressure begins in Bahrain. Because Aston Martin isn't aiming for points. They're aiming for revolution. And there's no going back. Still, one question remains. Why did Newey choose to gamble here? Of all the teams, why Aston? Why now? And what does he know that we don't? We'll come back to that. Because there's something about this project that changes everything we thought we knew about him. But first, we need to talk about what's under the skin of this machine. Because the most radical part of the AMR26 is the part no one can see. Yet, on the surface, the AMR26 looks sharp, precise, aggressive in its proportions. But that's not where the danger is. The real story hides beneath the carbon. Because what Adrian Newey did with this car was change how airflow behaves. Most cars are built to fight the air. This one is built to flow with it. And the secret is in the platform. Not the wings. Not the diffuser. Not even the engine cover, though that's unique too. No, it's the foundation. The suspension geometry. The chassis profile. The way the floor interacts with the new active aero regulations. This is not just a car. It's a pressure map. A moving puzzle designed to balance itself in real time. And here's where it gets wild. The geometry is so radical, so different from anything on the grid, that rival engineers believe Aston Martin may be hiding a second concept. One version now, another one later. Because the car that showed up in Barcelona? It's incomplete. By design. Think about it. Minimal mileage. No aggressive engine modes. Heavy fuel. No reveals of the full aero package. Why? Because Bahrain is the real test. That's when the cloak comes off. That's when the real AMR26 arrives. And most people will not be ready. Because Newey didn't build this to impress in February. He built it to dominate in July. And this is important. He's done this before. At Williams. At McLaren. At Red Bull. Each time, the early tests looked unstable. Unreliable. Confusing. And each time, the updates changed everything. So if you think Aston Martin is already out of the fight, you are not paying attention. Because what they're really building is a weapon disguised as a project. But now there's a new problem. In Formula One, time is the most expensive resource in the world. You can buy talent. You can buy power units. You can even buy a legend like Adrian Newey. But time? You cannot buy back lost days. And Aston Martin has already lost weeks. Their wind tunnel came online late. Their car hit the track even later. And in Barcelona, while other teams ran 100 laps a day, Aston Martin ran 5. Let that sink in. While Ferrari simulated full race distances, Stroll was stranded in the garage. Alonso waited in silence. And the engineers scrambled to fix electrical gremlins no one saw coming. That is not just a delay. It is a disaster if it continues. Because Bahrain is no longer a test. It is a deadline. And if Aston Martin shows up they're still troubleshooting, it could cost them the entire season. But here's the twist. Some people believe this was the plan all along. Think about it. Run slow. Hide performance. Sandbag data. Let the rivals think you're lost. And then unleash everything in a single weekend. It's risky. It's theatrical. It's very Adrian Newey. But it only works if one thing is true. That the concept is real. That underneath the silence, underneath the chaos, this car actually works. And that's where doubt creeps in. Because there's one thing Newey cannot control. The Honda power unit. Brand new. Fully integrated. Still unproven. In Barcelona, it failed. Not once. Not maybe. It failed. And if that happens again in Bahrain? No geometry. No airflow magic. No genius concept will save them. Because this car, this entire idea, relies on one thing above all. Reliability. And right now, Aston Martin doesn't have it. But here's what makes this terrifying. If they fix it, if the car runs clean in Bahrain, then the rest of the grid might be in trouble. Because once this thing starts working, it won't stop. And that's why, behind the cameras, teams like Ferrari and Mercedes aren't smiling. They're watching. Closely. Because they know who built this. And they know what he's capable of. But there's one final layer to this. One final reason why this story matters more than people realize. And it's not about the car. It's about legacy. Because what Newey is doing right now might be the last great gamble of his career. Adrian Newey has nothing left to prove. He has built champions. Williams. McLaren. Red Bull. He designed icons. Changed rulebooks. Redefined what a Formula One car could be. And now, he's walking straight into the unknown. Why? Because this is no longer about titles. It's about the one thing he never had. A blank page. A full project. From the first pencil stroke to the last piece of carbon. No compromises. No politics. No inherited mistakes. This time, it's all him. And if it works, it becomes more than a comeback. It becomes his signature. The final line in a legendary career. That's why the AMR26 matters. Not because it's beautiful. Not because it's fast. Not even because it's different. But because it's personal. Every corner of this car carries a decision he made. A risk he took. A principle he refused to break. And in a sport that eats innovation alive, that kind of purity is rare. But that's also what makes it fragile. Because if this car fails, if the integration breaks, if the results collapse, if Aston Martin crumbles under pressure, it could stain the very legacy it was meant to crown. And that's why this moment is so dangerous. Because Newey didn't come here to retire quietly. He came to shake the sport. One last time. But now, everyone's watching. And the knives are out. Old rivals want him to fail. Critics say the project is already doomed. Some even whisper that Aston Martin won't make it past mid-season. And yet, he stands calm, smiling, focused, unshaken. Because he knows something they don't. Because inside this car, there's a secret no one has seen yet. Not even the drivers. Not even the press. And when it's revealed, everything might change. But there's one more piece you need to hear. One final layer to this puzzle. Because what's happening at Aston Martin right now is not just a technical revolution. It's something bigger. And in the next block, you'll understand the real plan behind it all.